moving on to Saturday, which is the action-packed day. 3 games that day. Starting off at noon, SMU travels to State College to play Penn State.
In a whiteout.
A playoff whiteout, yes.
They found a way to work in Big Noon Saturday, didn't they?
They did. They would do that. But yes, it is a Big Noon Saturday kickoff. Penn State's currently an 8.5-point favorite, and the odds for them to win, according to ESPN, are 67.1%. So obviously, Penn State's been the early favorite against an SMU team who had a good season and then dropped one against Clemson in the ACC championship and just barely made it in the playoff. I'm glad that they did. I think that was the correct decision. It was between them and Alabama. So I think it was the right choice, but if they get the doors blown off of them, that should be interesting discourse. I'm sure we'll hear from Alabama fans if they do. So, but I'm trying to think of anything else. Drew Aller, I think, today announced he's coming back next year. I don't really know what his other option was, but I think that's good for Penn State probably.
Yes.
So Penn State's weird to me, I will say. They're weird. That Big Ten championship, they hung around with Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they had a chance down the stretch, couldn't really capitalize when they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Oregon won by a couple possessions, but it was close down the stretch.
8-point victory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, they have...
Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say they have athletes. Tyler Warren won the Mackey Award. Drew Aller can be good at times. They have probably one of the best running back tandems in the nation. So they have weapons. And this is also the same way I was talking about Notre Dame. This is probably James Franklin's the biggest game of his career. If you can go out and win a playoff game, I feel like that dispels a little bit of kind of the reputation he has of not being able to come through in the big moments. So a big one for Penn State. So yeah.
Penn State, like you said, Brandon, Penn State is a weird team because, like I mentioned last week, it seems that they let the other team dictate how they're going to play. Because, I mean, in the Big Ten championship game, all of a sudden, they're putting up numbers that I didn't know that Penn State was capable of putting up. I mean, 37 points against that Oregon defense. I didn't know that was possible from a Penn State perspective. This is also the same Penn State team that was only able to score 13 points, and the majority of those were off of a defensive touchdown against Ohio State. So it's like Ohio State said, we're going to run the ball between the tackles and manhandle you, and Penn State was like, all right, bet. We're going to try to do that against you, but better, and it didn't work out that way. But, I don't know, it seems like every other team they play against, not named Ohio State, they're able to do fairly well on offense. I mean, 34, 56, 21, 27, 33, so on and so forth. They're able to put up points. So, I know this isn't a betting podcast, but, if I was going to do anything on here, it'd be the over, just because this is a big game, which makes me lean away from Penn State and James Franklin. However, it's not necessarily the strongest opponent they've ever faced in SMU. So,
yeah. I
mean, it's hard to not pick the Lions here, the Nittany Lions. But, I mean, SMU's scrappy. I think they'll hang around. I don't know. I would like to think it's a one-possession game. Like we mentioned with Notre Dame, you just don't want to see a blowout. You want to see some good games.
Yeah.
But I think that's my heart, not my head. My head says that Penn State wins by at least 10.
Yeah, this is
the spread.
Yeah. This gives me a very similar vibe to the Indiana Notre Dame game, to be honest with you. Kind of an established, quote unquote, blue blood facing, a team who hasn't been relevant in a while, kind of coming back into relevancy. So kind of the same storyline. I would also like SMU to keep it close. However, we saw what happened against Clemson. Came back to their credit in the end and got their hearts broken by an absolute piss missile of a field goal. there in the end. So, I mean, they had what it took to beat Clemson for what that's worth.
Yeah.
However, I think, I mean, I hate to say it, but both these games, I just feel like it could come down to just getting, beat by the better athletes.
Yeah.
I
So,
really thought you
I'm
were gonna
not
say some
sure.
stupid shit. Like, it depends on whoever gets in the end zone. You know,
Whoever
scores last?
scores
whoever
more
scores the most
points in the
points.
game wins.
I do
Yeah.
think this game will be decided by how Kevin Jennings plays. Just because,
Mhm.
I mean, we saw he did not have his best half of football in the first
Yeah.
half against Clemson. I'm pretty sure, fairly sure he fumbled and threw a pick.
I believe he did. Yes.
Yeah.
I can double check that for you.
But, I mean, 3 touchdown passes in the second half led them back, tied the game with less than a minute to go. Some special teams mistakes, and then, like you said, Brandon, to the kicker's credit,
Yeah.
nailing just an absolute bomb from
Yes,
56.
2 turnovers.
Yeah.
2 turnovers, Noah. And the kicker's name, by the way,
Nolan
is
Hauser.
Yeah.
Nolan Hauser.
Shout out.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Sorry, man.
Respect on his name.
Give him his flowers.
Trophy
Yeah.
in the mail.
No, he deserves it.
But honestly, I think this is the Kevin Jennings game. Like, if he comes in and, I mean, granted, Penn State's defense, they have a solid secondary. I don't know if those linebackers have been tested by a person with the skill set such as Kevin Jennings.
True.
Can
That's true.
tuck it and run if he has to. So if he beats them to the edge a couple times, look out. All I'm
Yeah.
saying, man.
That's a
I
good
think-
point. I mean, the biggest games they played against Oregon and Ohio State, talking about Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard, not necessarily the most known for their threat on the ground. So, I mean, that is
It's
an
a
added
different
layer.
kind of mobility. There's
Yeah,
his
for
is
sure.
more of like I'm gonna hurt you downfield with my legs. Like, those guys
Yeah.
are more like pocket oriented. Like, I can move
Get a
all
couple
around.
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dylan
it's a
Gabriel
different
especially.
defense.
Yeah.
It's a different defensive game plan for sure. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially as a Georgia fan who has experienced being hurt by running quarterbacks a lot. So that could definitely be a wrinkle in the game plan for sure.
I mean, yeah, and the SMU defense has the ability to shut down the Penn State offense. Like, what they did in the second half against Clemson was really impressive. Enough to keep them in the game, just keep forcing 3 and outs in that situation. And some would say that Klubnik's better than Aller. I don't know who would say that, but there are some who would.
I think it could be closer
That's
than
a
you think.
good argument. Yeah.
But anyway, no, I think that and some would also argue that Clemson has a more efficient run attack.
Ooh, that's a hot take. I know some Clemson people who are
that's a bit
out
warmer.
on Maffa. I don't know.
No, that was legitimately just for clicks. I do not.
That's
actually
valid.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say that's rage
Make
bait.
a TikTok. Yeah.
I'm already getting flamed by Ohio State fans for saying that the Vol faithful were going to checker Neyland. So,
Oh yeah,
Those are
we'll have a
fight
fun
games,
conversation
man.
about that later.
I meant checker the shoe, but yeah, we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, are we gonna make a pick here? What are we thinking?
Ooh.
If Penn State is up late with the ball, they're going to cover because Franklin knows the spread and he knows that. I mean, he knows that he has the reputation of not being a good coach in big games.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, if SMU has the ball and they're only down a possession, watch out.
Yeah.
So, but Penn State's
I
probably
like
going to
that.
win the game.
Am I crazy
Yeah,
to think
I
SMU
mean-
wins, man?
No, take
you're
them.
not
We
crazy.
need
I
some.
just think
We need variety because I'm
formula-
gonna pick Penn State. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
The formula to beat them, at least the Penn State offense, the formula to stop them is so easy. Stop the run, make Aller push the ball downfield on 3rd and long. Like, we saw him get baited into 2 picks against Oregon. Like, 3rd and 10, that last possession especially, they were driving down 8 to tie the game.
Difference maker.
3rd and 10, he's pushing the ball past the sticks, throws a pick. So force them into mistakes. Stop the run.
He's a great check down quarterback.
No, he is. He makes the right throw unless, he needs the yardage. Then he will force it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, genuinely, I hope SMU wins. I will put that on record.
Hopes.
I hope they win because an SMU Boise State matchup would,
Feed
oh my
families.
gosh, it would feed families.
Oh.
I would love that. I just think this one's a bit too much, too big of a spot for James Franklin to be losing it. I don't know. I've kind of convinced myself that they're going all in on it, and with the talent they have on the team, they should win. That's what I'm going to stick with. But regardless, I hope it's a really good game because I'm going to be disappointed if we have just nothing but blowouts in the first round of this playoff. So